Hey, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Rather Be Riffing. It's a beautiful Friday night. Summer is finally here, and I think I'm going to pour myself an IPA. So on tap tonight, we have a Perfect Storm by Treehouse Brewing Company. Perfect Storm is one of the most heavily hopped beers we have made. To counter this extraordinary hop addition, we have amended the base beer to have more body and sweetness to accept the onslaught. Together is the most perfect storm of hop flavor and enjoyment. Pure tropical hop juice. So one of you suggested I should start pouring the IPAs into a glass so you can see the colors. So let's do it. Cheers. So my last video did a comparison between the PRS DGT and the PRS 594, and I was really impressed with the versatility of the DGT. And it got me wondering, if I can only bring one guitar to a gig or to a studio session, and I needed to cover the most broad range of tones, what one guitar would I choose? And the two options that came to mind were a DGT or a Strat, and in particular, HSS configured Strat, meaning humbucker in the bridge and two single coils in the neck and middle. And so in this video, I thought it'd be really cool to compare a DGT with an HSS equipped S-style guitar, ultimately to decide which one I feel is more versatile. And so when I was thinking about how I wanted to do this comparison, I had remembered some interviews with David Grissom and others that play the PRS DGT guitar, and they often talk about its versatility, in particular how you can coax approximations of Fender type tones out of it, whether Strat or Tele, even Gretsch type of tones, and then classic PRS and Gibson tones out of it. So in this video, what I'll do is I will compare the DGT and the HSS Strat to a Les Paul, to a more traditional style Strat, a Telecaster, and a Gretsch semi-hollow body guitar, in order to see which guitar can cover a broader range of tones and which guitar can approximate the others more closely. So I think this will be quite an interesting comparison. I'm super curious to see which guitar do you think is more versatile, which guitar do you think approximates each of the archetype guitars more closely. Let me know in the comments below. So in this video, I'll start with a quick overview of the specs of each guitar, then we'll jump into the A/B sound comparisons, and then we'll finish off by comparing both the DGT and HSS in the context of the opening track. So let's dive in. So starting out with the specs of each guitar. This is the PRS DGT. It's a 2013 model with all standard specs: mahogany body, maple top, mahogany neck, East Indian rosewood fingerboard, and DGT pickups. This is an Exotic XSC2 HSS S-style guitar. It has Exotic's own pickups, a PAF style humbucker in the bridge, two single coils in the neck and middle. This has an alder body and a roasted maple neck and fingerboard. For the Les Paul comparison, I'll be using a 2019 1959 reissue Gibson Les Paul with Wildwood spec pickups. For the traditional Strat comparison, I'm using my parts caster. This has an alder body, three Fender Texas Special single coil pickups, maple neck, Brazilian rosewood fingerboard. For the Tele style comparison, I'll be using my Whitfill T. This is ash-bodied, maple neck, rosewood fingerboard, an incredibly light guitar. Then lastly, the Gretsch style guitar is a Gretsch Panther. This is a semi-hollow design. It's like an ES335 where it actually has a solid center block. Filtertron pickups, Bigsby, really cool guitar. So up first, let's compare to the traditional Strat style guitar. I'm going to be in the neck pickup. I'm going to play a percussive, spanky style blues riff. Let's see how the other two guitars compare. I'll run the DGT with the neck coil split to approximate a single coil tone. So let's check that out. Alright, so that comparison seemed like a little bit of an unfair fight to me for two reasons. One, this particular Strat has an incredible neck pickup sound. It's very clear and spanky and punchy, which I think suited that part perfectly. And of course, the HSS had an advantage given the fact that it is a Strat to begin with, whereas the DGT was relying on a split coil sound, which I felt was a little less clear than a genuine single coil tone. So up next is the Les Paul sound comparison. I'm going to play in the bridge position with a thicker gain tone, doing some rock rhythm parts. So let's check that out. For that comparison, I didn't have a strong preference. They all sounded very similar to me and all usable. So up next, let's compare to the Gretsch. I'm going to be playing in the middle position. For the DGT, I'll be running that with split coils, and I've got the volume controls on both pickups dialed back slightly to around 7. And on the HSS, I'll be in the middle position. So let's give it a listen. So I thought this was a really interesting comparison. The Gretsch has such a unique voice with the semi-hollow design and the Filtertron pickups, and I feel like the middle position on the Gretsch has a lot of chime. I felt that the DGT got closest to the Gretsch tone, whereas the Strat, not surprisingly, struggled to recreate some of that top-end chime, relying only on the middle single coil pickup. So I'd have to give the nod to the DGT in this scenario. So up next is the Telecaster comparison. I'll be running in the bridge position. I'll be running the DGT in split coil mode there. So let's check that out. So for that comparison, I think it's pretty tough to match the twang and brightness of a Tele in the bridge position. It's a very unique sound. And I felt the DGT had an advantage in this scenario with its split coil capabilities that allowed it to be a little brighter than a traditional humbucker, whereas I felt the HSS humbucker couldn't quite get to the same level of twang or brightness as the DGT or the Tele. Perhaps a mod could be done to put a split coil option on the HSS's humbucker, and that would likely give it a little bit more of that top end bite and twang in the bridge. So up last, let's compare the DGT and HSS in the context of the intro music. I'll A-B each guitar playing the guitar solo, and let me know what differences you can hear. Alright, that wraps up the sound comparisons, and I thought I'd offer up some of my observations and takeaways. So, which guitar did I feel is more versatile? I think that really depends. So for me, I felt both guitars covered the bridge humbucker sound really well, so that wasn't really a difference maker for me. Where the difference lies is that if I was approaching a gig that required more Gibson-style tones and occasional Fender tones, I would reach for the DGT. And if a gig required predominantly more Strat-style tones and occasional Gibson tones, I would reach for an HSS. I felt the DGT covered the Tele and Gretsch sound better than the HSS could. However, I felt the HSS was superior in covering Strat-like tones, which again is not a big surprise, but I felt the DGT really fell short there. So that wraps it up. I'd love to hear your observations and which guitar you preferred and why, so let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.